of the things that we're here to talk about is the business of golf and how you can divide your time and maximize your efforts in promoting and going forward with other ventures other than just hitting the golf ball. We saw Ian's very, very successful IJP design, but what we didn't see is really another aspect of the golf business. Dottie has been very, very active in the last couple of years, working on writing a book, a series of books now, which I can proudly say is my 9-year-old son's favorite book, Bogey Bolton, and perhaps you've seen Bogey, who is the mascot of the book, walking around the show, and it really has a couple of different different goals. One of which is to teach people about the game, but there are other things.
Well, yeah, I think in a nutshell, what we're trying to do at Scooter Pines Holdings, Bogey's home course, is really make golf fun. Get kids reading, having fun, and playing golf, and put a friendly face on what can be, for a lot of people, a very intimidating game. And create a fun, fresh face for kids to break down that barrier earlier, and the goal being to get them and their parents, their instructors, their mentors, more engaged in the game, and when we get them there, to keep them there. So we've got them in there in a fun place to begin with, and now we got to keep them. And that's a lot of what the PGA is trying to do through 2.0. And again, as you said, I wouldn't be in the position I was, certainly at the kickstart of my career, without the PGA of America. I came from a very average income family. In fact, we rented our house during the Saratoga race season, moved out so my parents had enough money to let me play junior golf. And if it wasn't for the section, the Northeastern New York section, the smallest actually of the 41, paying for my way to get to the national championship, I never would have been there. So I owe a great debt.
Ian, you had modest beginnings as a golf professional as well, but before we get to that, I think I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you what you thought of Dottie's jacket.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, I even think it will go with my tartans right now. I mean, it should be smart.
Well, we had a hair contest, and we're going to call that a draw.
Yeah, you know, if you've been following Twitter at all, either of these guys, Ian with, what is it, 1.3 million followers, the big face-off here was who was going to bring more hair product. The only thing I could add to that was that I would not be counted in that.
It's a push for sure, I think. I mean, we've been tweeting all week about who's going to have the best hair this week, but I think it's a tough.
I had the consult from Rod Stewart. How about you?
Well, everyone says I look like Rod Stewart, but I mean...
So let's talk a little bit about your business, because I think what many people might find interesting is that you're playing at such a high level right now, yet this, what we just saw, must take an enormous amount of time. How do you figure out how to do that?
Well, obviously it's a balance, and I think it takes me back to my early days working in a pro shop and how I got inspired, one, to play golf, and two, you know, to be a successful player. And you know, when I look back, working in Leighton Buzzard Pro Shop for 4 years, going through my PGA exams, I got very motivated by the successful players in golf, Greg Norman, Nick Faldo, etc., etc. And those guys were great in business, not just on the golf course. And I wanted to emulate those guys. You know, I looked up to those guys. I went to all the golf tournaments. I went to the Ryder Cup in 1993. You know, I saw everybody. It was Davis's rookie Ryder Cup, and I think Tom Watson was captain that year. And I was just fixed. And you know, I said to myself at that point, right, I want to turn professional. That's what I really want to do. But I don't just want to play. I want to have a business on the back end of that. And going through the PGA exams, going through my business studies, you know, I felt it was a great grounding and a great backup for me to be able to use that in what I've done with IJP Design over the last 6 years. And I had an equipment change 6 years ago. I moved over to Cobra, and I've loved their equipment, but it's enabled me to free up my clothing. And it was at that time I literally sat on the sofa with my agent and said, I'd like to get into the clothing business and see if we can, you know, continue what we've done in one-off pieces. Those pieces I was wearing at the majors, and they were quite colourful, which I'm sure some of you have seen. But really it was that kind of triggered it off. And you know, I wanted to put something out there that wasn't just as loud as some of the stuff I was wearing, but it was actually appealing to everybody. And I'm proud to say today we've got a very passionate team which enable me to work on the real game, which is me on the golf course, so they can do their job to make me look good.
When did this go from being something that was an aspiration and a dream to something that really became a part of your daily life? Because this is clearly more than just kind of some casual pursuit. You obviously have to put some serious hours into this.
Yeah, I did in the early stages, and like everything, I come up with millions of great ideas, some of which go forward and some don't go forward. And I guess looking back 6 years ago, took the plunge to start a clothing business, which probably wasn't the best timing, to be honest, but I said, okay, let's do it, let's go for it. And I've established a team of people behind me that have worked tirelessly hard to get the business to where it is today. And you know, it's taken a lot of personal investment to get it to where it is today, and hopefully we can continue to push that forward. But yeah, I mean, it's I guess when did I realize that it was going to take as much time? I guess when I've had to invest as much money as I've invested. So you know, I come up with the idea, and I'm fully behind it and trying to push it as far as I can.
Well, you couldn't have anybody better to endorse it, especially the way you've been playing lately, certainly here in the United States. Dottie, I think a lot of people will be curious to know what's next for you. You know, you've been a part of the NBC Golf family for a good deal of time now. You've decided to step away because there are some other things that are on your agenda. Let's talk a little bit about that. What's up for you?
Well, first and foremost, why I'm here this week as a member of the board. Well, yes, I haven't seen you since December when you made me cry. I'm here first and foremost as a board member. Yesterday we had a fantastic junior committee meeting, also on the membership committee, and may find this hard to believe, but public relations and communications. So I've got my plate pretty full there, and also on the board at our home section. So that's it takes up time that I'm thrilled to be able to give. And like Ian, I mean, I always wanted to get into the business side of it. I was a sports management major in college, and proud to have gotten a degree at a quality institution in 4 years, and played 4 years of collegiate golf. So I think one of the Furman, go Paladins. It was a lesson my dad taught me a long time ago. It was that to have an education, and if things don't work out as a professional, as an athlete, you have something to fall back on. But you're also not going to play forever. And it's also very difficult, I think, to play when you're so singular-minded, and that is your entire identity. That the business side becomes a great release.
And your father spoke as a man with great knowledge on that subject.
He did. My dad actually played some Major League Baseball, was on the cover of SI with Johnny Bench in that class that had Hall of Famers in it. So my dad was and still is a great inspiration. But he was also a great teacher. And that was one of the greatest teaches I got from him. And the day I beat him on the golf course for the first time, I certainly remember that as well. It was a very competitive household growing up.
Oh?
Really?
Shocking. Let's talk a little bit about something that Ted Bishop mentioned a little bit earlier, and that's growing the game of golf. And I'm curious, Ian, back home in England, although this is your home now, but back in England, are you facing the same type of challenges with access to the game, junior golf, that we seem to be facing here in the United States?
Yeah, I think so. And you know, I, with a lot of other professionals, want to try and grow the game of golf as much as possible. And you know, I, as well as a lot of the other pros, have junior incentive programs. We have a junior invitational tournament at Woburn Golf Club, and we're proud to have 100 kids from around the country come in to play golf. We set the golf course up in pure tournament condition, tough pins, and we want to test them as much as possible. I do a nice Q&A, I do a golf clinic for them, and kind of give them the basis of what turned me from the player that I was into the player that I am today, and hopefully inspire some of the next generation of kids to come through. But yeah, I mean, there's so many guys now and ladies that are really working hard to get more fun into the game of golf and put it back to the youth, and to see these guys coming through. And it's I'm proud to say there's so many great players coming through from that.
Hello, Dottie. Tell me, if you had to detail one thing that you would do to kind of fix the trajectory of golf? Annika mentioned a little bit earlier that some of the numbers had indicated a downward trend in terms of participation, you know, over this last period of time in which it's been measured. What would you do?
Well, I think I would encourage, and I see limits that don't need to be there. Kids not being allowed to play at prime times. If they can play fast enough, go play. If they can keep up, go play. You shouldn't put a barricade in front of them. They are your future members. They're going to raise your bottom line, and they're going to be the future of golf. Women, same thing. I think if we can get this junior league concept that you'll see in the next hour, brought out by Alan Ranowski, and Davis Love is totally on board with this. If the junior league has worked so well in this last year as it's really been rolled out, why can't we do the same for women? It becomes a completely barrier-free opportunity for women to get out and play quickly, play 3 holes for a point, start over again. So a lot of the things that become deterrent to the game all of a sudden are washed away, and I think it's our job to wash away a lot of those reasons to not play and to not get engaged and stay there. So if there's anything, I would say to find ways to get, even if it's to go out and play 3 holes, go play 6 holes. You don't need to post a score, you need to play golf. And feel like you want to support your facility for all the things that are out there. And I've been very, very lucky to be a member at a club that has done exactly that. 9 holes. You go in there on Tuesday night, it's such a warm, welcoming atmosphere, even in the middle of the winter. You're waiting for a table at the club. Who can say that? Food and beverage, I mean, it's been such a challenge as the economy has turned that people have left clubs. They've found ways to do other things. With effort, you can thrive. And when you think a little bit bigger, think maybe a little out of the box, to use a very coined term. There are ways to grow this game by making it inviting, making it inclusive, by making it fun and fast.
Ian, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't spend at least a little bit of the time up here talking about the last time that most people saw you play golf, although you did play out in Hawaii. I think that Ryder Cup performance was almost like you were having an out-of-body experience. Give me that face. Can you just give me that face one time?
Can't do it.
Yeah.
There's not enough adrenaline in me right now.
What was that like? Now that you've had some time to take a deep breath, you put the clubs down for a little, I know how much the Ryder Cup means to you. What was that like, playing the way you did in that spot?
It was out-of-body experience. It was totally insane. And, you know, I spent a bit of time talking to some of the PGA pros a couple of days ago, and they showed a highlight of some of the putts and shots. And it was, for me, a truly incredible experience. You know, I get asked the question all the time, how did you hold those putts? How did you hold those putts? And the honest answer is I willed them in. And it wasn't a case of what if I missed this putt. It was a case of I will hold this putt because I need to hold this putt because I need to help my team, and if it helps them get over the 10-5 to 10-6 and fills them full of confidence, I know we can turn this thing around. So it was an inner will to will that ball in the hole. And you know, from time to time, you know, we've seen it from the best, you know, the best players in the world that just manage to hold putts at the right time. And it's, you know, you can't answer the question as to how did, you know, what was going through your mind. Actually, nothing was going through my mind. It was completely clear, apart from I will hold this putt. There was no second guessing. And you know, as easy as it is to sit up here and say, I walked around. I done my normal routine, 360-degree around the hole. I barely had to look at that line. I was able to walk around the hole, and everything took time. It wasn't that it went really quickly. I walked around at my normal pace, but everything was going in slow motion. So I was able to visualize my line from behind, from the side, from standing over the putt, and I just hit the putt. And you know, amazing things happen under amazing pressures and intensities. And you know, for me, it was just an absolute honor to be there, to be part of that historic win.
I think a lot of people will remember the way you closed on Sunday, but it's entirely possible that the more decisive match was the way you closed on Saturday. Can you give people, we spend all this time trying to describe to people why the Ryder Cup is different. First of all, is there more energy at any other golf tournament? I mean, at a major championship, or give it some kind of comparative, give us some kind of comparative observation.
Well, it's hard to compare it to any other tournament in the world. It's hard to even compare all 4 majors against the Ryder Cup. I have never felt that much pressure, intensity, excitement, electricity in any other tournament that I've ever played. And if you add them all together, I don't think it gets to a Ryder Cup. For some reason, you're playing for pride and you're playing for passion, and that means more than anything else. There's no money involved. This is just pure one-on-one passion with the guy you're trying to beat, and it means so much. The 18-inch little gold trophy that we go out there and, you know, blood, sweat and tears for 3 days to work hard for. I mean, it's incredible, and I saw that in '93 when I was there. And it was that moment where I said that's the turning point for me. I want some of that, because to be on the big stage, holding putts, and being a proud European player, you know, for me means everything. And you know, Jose, it was a tough week for him with not having Sevi, you know, his best friend there. And you know what, I think there was a lot to say for what he had to say about Sevi that week, and us carrying Sevi on our left sleeve and on our golf bag for the entire week. It was an inspiration to everybody.
Scotland in 2 years, it should be fun.
I can't wait.
All right, I think we've got some microphones out in the crowd. If anybody has some questions, where are the microphones? We got them right back here. If you've got some questions, please raise your hand and fire away. There we go.
Hi. One of the challenges that we have for those that operate facilities is the rising cost of golf course maintenance. And I think that's one of the things that we've touched on as being a blockade for growing the game, and that's turning people away, is the cost of greens fees, the cost of dues at clubs. However, as a facility operator, we're always competing and being pressured by that, quote, Augusta effect of outstanding course conditions. Would LPGA and PGA players be willing to play tournaments with lower quality course conditions in order to help us kind of increase the popularity, that it doesn't have to be perfect all the time, so our expenses go down so we can charge less?
Good question.
Well, it is a good question, and it becomes a level of what's acceptable. In my opinion, green's not always good. It seems to me that there are more turf condition problems because of overwatering than there are from the other side. It creates all sorts of other problems. I think too, so many golf courses, especially in this country, I'm not so sure about England, but are overpopulated with trees. They suck the water out. Water's expensive, and it's difficult to maintain a golf course where there's not good airflow. So we can do a lot by eliminating the over tree population, and as a result, your water costs are going to go down right away. Your turf's going to be healthier. There's a lot of savings just in that. So I think when people get over this, those trees are good. They're not necessarily always great. I think that's a place to start. And would the players be willing to maybe not have so perfect conditions? If they were hard and fast, I say bring it on. I think they would very much support it.
Ian, what do you say?
I totally agree with Dottie there, to be honest. I mean, you know, if I played in Australia last year, and to be honest, to maintain the golf course that they have down there on the sandbelt, I would think would cost a fraction of the cost of what it would cost to maintain a golf course here in America. You know, you do get rugged lies. I mean, you know, there's bushland everywhere, and literally all they have to do really is cut the fairways and cut the greens. I mean, yes, they're blessed on the sandbelt of having fantastic greens with probably very little maintenance, but obviously, you know, we can't travel over there and play golf every week. So yeah, we do from time to time play on courses that don't cost a lot of money to maintain, and in Europe as well, we have the same problem. I mean, you know, in terms of golf courses, some of the European courses can't be maintained to the level of some of the courses that are maintained over here. So I'm not just singling out America, but we do play on golf courses that probably aren't in as good a condition as probably you would expect.
I think too, televised golf becomes a bit of the enemy, because you see a golf course in perfect condition that week, and your membership expects that all the time, when it's that actual stress on the golf course. So you're asking the most of a golf course, and that's what people expect to be the norm.
If you see how some of the golf courses go through their struggles, if they've had a tough winter or a hot summer, you know, from television, the courses that we play on look absolutely perfect, but what you don't get to see is the actual surface we're putting on. You know, they have used green sand, and they have masked a lot of areas around the greens to actually make them look fine. And you know, I'm amazed sometimes when, you know, I'm on the golf course, they play as well as they play. You get back in, you have a shower, you flick the TV on, and the greens look absolutely billiard table-like, and it's like, wow, you know, they've managed to cover all of the spots that we actually walk on the greens and see. So it's definitely an effect for TV to make sure, and it's in their interest to make the golf courses look as good as they possibly can. It's better for TV that way, but you know, they're probably not as good as what you might think.
Maybe if the integrity of the putting surfaces was maintained at the expense of some of the other parts of the course, that might help. Got some more questions here. Where's the next microphone? Over there on the right.
It's a question for Ian Poulter. Two-part question. How much sleep did you actually get Saturday night after the Ryder Cup weekend to the final match? And then the second part is, how much has your career changed since that weekend? Is there anywhere you can go and not be recognized?
To answer the first question, in terms of sleep, I got more sleep Saturday night than I did the rest of the week, because my tee-off time was a little later on Sunday. I think everybody in the Ryder Cup quite enjoys Saturday night because, as we know, the tee-off times are late. We don't have the 4 o'clock alarm call on Friday and Saturday morning like we've normally had. So I would have guessed I was pretty exhausted by then. I'd used every bit of energy in my entire body on Saturday. I had a massage when I got back to the hotel room. I had a stretch, had food. Literally, team meeting was 10 minutes. It was a very relaxed, fun meeting, which was very different to Friday evening's meeting. And I think everybody went to bed early. Literally, I think we was in bed by 10 o'clock. And I probably had a good 8 hours sleep at least, and that's enough to get yourself fueled up for Sunday. In fact, I mean, if you had 2 hours sleep, I think, you know, there's enough adrenaline pumping through your veins that given week. You could pretty much play on no sleep at all. To answer your second question, yeah, I think it's definitely changed. It's changed me as a player. I think after the Ryder Cup, I mean, I've managed to play unbelievably well. My stats in Ryder Cup, I think now pretty good, 80% win rate, which is right up there. So yeah, I think it's changed me as a person, as a player. I obviously have had a lot of attention since the Ryder Cup, and I'm quite happy to talk about it because it was an emotional few days, and I've got to be honest, it was a Ryder Cup that a lot of people are going to remember for a long time. And you know, I remember what it meant to me in '93 to be back there watching, and you know, if I could ask one of the guys back then a few questions, you know, I'm in the position now where, you know, guys can ask me some questions about it, and you know, I'm very proud to have been a part of it.
You know, I think something else that will come out of this Ryder Cup is I think it may change the dynamic for future Ryder Cups in terms of the teams that are trailing. Because previously, the largest deficit that had been overcome was 1999 when the American team came back to win at Brookline. But now that it's been done again, I have to imagine that those team meetings on Saturday night for the team that's behind, there's not going to be anybody who doesn't think that they can do it going into Sunday. I think it may have changed everything.
I totally agree. I think you know, that was the biggest comeback in '99, albeit on US soil. They were on their home soil. So I think, you know, you play for so many points. Well, there's so much golf played on Friday, Saturday, but yet there's almost 50% of points to play for on Sunday. So you're never out of it. And you know, singles is a funny game, and momentum is amazing to carry any kind of momentum into a singles, or once you've got 3 or 4 or 5 blue or red numbers on the board early on, that fuels the back order into playing, and it inspires them to just dig a little bit deeper. And it's amazing, you know, to think that you can come back from a 10-6 deficit and overturn what wasn't, you know, impossible.
Well, it was a very similar situation in the 1996 Solheim Cup, playing at Wales, and the American side was whining. They were miserable, and 4 points down going to the last day, and it was a big get around, and Judy Rankin put an end to that, and she said, all I ask you is that you go do tomorrow what you already know how to do. And she left the room. Done. Don't need to know a darn thing other than that. And to that point about momentum, that was it. And she had asked a few players where they wanted to go in the order, and there were a few that said, I'll wait till the end, but there were a lot of players that wanted to say, I want out first because I'm going to get that point and I'm going to change the momentum. It's that important. And I think you need your Bulldogs to be able to stand up, I'll go get the job done and I'll do it early.
What did you say?
I said I went out third.
That's exactly right. You know, the team meeting on Saturday evening was, you know, we had a bigger deficit Saturday night than what we did on Friday night. And yet the team atmosphere was completely different. It couldn't be any further apart, and yet we felt like we had that chance. And you know, the guys put their hands up and we discussed an order and literally put out what we felt was a very, very strong front order to be able to go out and put blue on the board, because we knew if we could somehow get those early games in, we discussed 4 or 5. Actually, the first 5 come in all blue. You know, that changed the whole dynamics of that Ryder Cup very, very quickly.
How quiet was it out there on Sunday early?
It went silent very, very quickly, because all of that board went blue, and then people started to panic and, you know, take a deep breath, and, you know, Chicago went quiet for once.
Shocking. I've covered just about every sporting event there is. I have never seen anything like that week at Medina. Right here.
The song? Oh, okay. Ian, let me just say that I respect you as a player, and I respect your passion for the Ryder Cup and just playing on the tour no matter what. My question is, since golf is an individual sport, obviously it's not a team thing and you don't really get to pal around and stuff. I gotta ask, do you have any close friends either on the European or PGA side?
Yeah, I think, you know, when I look at close friends, I could pretty much name 90% of the field. But in terms of how you choose to socialize after a round of golf, I mean, guys go out in groups of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 guys, and we all kind of get together. I mean, it's a long year. If you sit down and think how many tournaments you're going to play, you're going to be away from from the wife and children, and you know, you have to enjoy being away from the golf course as much as possible, because it becomes very, very tiresome. But you know, Justin Rose, Luke Donald, Lee Westwood, so on, Adam Scott, etc., etc. All the guys are great to go out and socialise with. And when I mean socialise, that's not obviously drinking, but I mean it's just going out and dining. Everybody has their routine. Some people, you know, go to bed very early. Some people don't go to bed very early. Most people have physio treatment after a round of golf. So, you know, you kind of, during the week, as the week goes on, you speak to the guys, whoever's on the right side of the draw. You know, you probably won't go out to dine with someone that's, you know, got a 1:30 tee off time, because they're still on the course by the time you want to go and eat. So I would say, you know, at least 90% of the guys you're quite happy to go and dine with.
Questions? Right here in the front.
Dottie, how do you expect that your passion as a player will be different now that you're assistant captain on the Solheim Cup? And two-parter, how were you able to sleep after the Patriots loss on Sunday?
I will answer the second question first, and say all I did was free up my schedule for Super Bowl Sunday. I did not sleep very well. Not at all. I am a diehard Patriots fan, back to the days of Steve Grogan and a very, very bad offensive line, so I get it. To the first, how am I going to channel my competitiveness? I don't know that I can, but that's not so much my job that week. My job, and in fact I had breakfast with Meg Mellon this morning, is really to be her detail person. And I was given an array of things I need to go start working on right now as far as stats and start working on orders and potential, because we've got 5 players at the top of the points right now that are pretty much locked. So we can start building a core and start really looking at how to build this team and strengths and weaknesses of some, where they've played in the singles rotation, where they've played best in the foursomes rotation, 4-ball rotation. Who needs a little more time in the morning? Who's not going to be the first person you throw out there at 7 o'clock or 7:30? I think is actually the first tee time. So my passion for it is going to be in making the details go away for the players and for Meg. And I've also been told that certain people like their peanut butter and jelly sandwiches made a different way, with the peanut butter on the outside of the jelly on the inside so it doesn't get soggy. I'm that kind of detail. That's the stuff I've been assigned to. You know, it's each cup match sort of evolves in a different way. And one of my favorite memories was in '98 with Judy Rankin again at Muirfield Village. We got caught, even after doing a weather study for the previous 10 years in Dublin, Ohio. It was 80 degrees all week long. We ran out of shirts, short sleeve shirts. Judy and I stayed up and washed shirts and ironed them on Saturday night. You just do what you have to do to get it done. And it was one of my favorite memories, honestly.
I'm laughing at the thought of you handling details. What many people will not see is that Dottie, who seems to do whatever she does so effortlessly, I have this vision of coming into the broadcast trailer so many mornings and seeing Dottie poring over statistics, writing notes, as if she was a high school student studying for a chemistry exam. There is no detail that gets past this woman. More questions? Right here.
Hi there. I'm here representing a PGM university, and this question is for both of you. I guess, what advice would you give to someone like me, someone in college, or to anyone who's here from college, you know, about growing the game? You guys are two, you know, great ambassadors of the game. You know, you've been there, you've been in the spotlight, you know, and I guess, you know, for a lot of us, you know, maybe we won't get to that spotlight, but, you know, it's, you know, what advice would you give to us, I guess?
I think for me, it's making it, again, Dottie said it earlier, it's making it as fun as possible. It's making it as accessible as it possibly can for, you know, juniors to get into the game of golf. And I remember when I was in the shop teaching the juniors how to play, I had a great junior clinic on a Saturday and a Sunday, and, you know, I tried to play as many games as I possibly could. And, you know, for me, that was great to challenge these kids and to keep them, you know, always competing against each other. And I'm one of those guys at school that took part to win, and I didn't take part to take part. You know, I wanted to win, so I wanted to teach these kids what it meant to win. So I made them play games against each other, and I made them enjoy the fact of being able to say, I won my chipping competition, I won my putting competition. It's making them hungry. Don't make them hit balls to hit balls. Make them hit balls for a reason. Give them something to play golf for. Give them the reward of actually winning and what it feels like to win. Because if they don't win, they'll learn how to deal with that, and they'll want to win even more. So I think it's involving these kids in the game of golf today and really let them experience the win and the loss, how to deal with the loss properly. It will make them burn. It will make it burn even harder, and it will make them want to win more. And I think it's all about that, making it fun and, you know, make it very competitive for them.
Well, to your point about being in a PGM program, I think it would be a wonderful add to the game to have a junior curriculum be part of your requirement. So it just becomes part of what you naturally do as a club professional. It becomes an area you just naturally pay attention to and are thinking big about how to make the game fun for those kids. Because guess what happens? Someone has to bring them to the golf course. And if mom and dad see their kids having a good time, they might hang around and play too. It becomes part of the fabric of your family. And if, again, you know, we're in this time-crunched world, it's okay to go play a few holes. Just go find a spot and go play. And I was, again, my golf course at home, I think they do a really wonderful thing. If the sun's up, golf course is open. greens might not be cut. Blowers come along, just get out of the way, but please go play. And I think it's that attitude that is really going to help not grow just junior golf, but everywhere.
I think we've got time for one more question here.
This question's for both of you, the two competitors here that are fun to watch, to make the highlight reels. How do you channel the passion that you have to win and keep it on track and not let it derail you? You had such passion in the Ryder Cup. Dottie's had, you look at her highlight reels, the passion to win and close the deal. How do you channel that, and then how could we learn from that?
Ian does it with fast cars. You have to have an outlet somewhere.
So do you.
I think outlets are really important. And I think where you can be a complete person with other interests, I think really helps define that time that you are on the golf course and where you are so driven to succeed. I don't know that I would have played as long as I did if I didn't have the outlet of skiing during the winter. And I love it, and I can't wait to get back out there when I finally get the clearance next month. But I think you have to have other things. I mean, Annika loves to cook. You got to have other things, I think, that gets you away from it just enough to keep you hungry. And whatever that might be for you. David Duval was a world-class reader when he was at the top of the golf world. I mean, there was not a book he wouldn't conquer, and that was his thing. And I think Davis does a lot of reading. You got to have somewhere to go that's not what seems to define you as a competitor and seemingly as a person.
Yeah, Dottie's very right. You have to have something to get away from, you know, the normal day-to-day playing golf, and to keep you hungry to keep coming back for more. So I mean, it's for me, it's obviously the business aspect, and obviously, you know, back home balancing four children. I like my cars, so I kind of have a big passion in cars right now, and trying to grow those. And then it keeps your mind fresh to be able to go out there, to stay hungry, to stay competitive, and to keep the mindset fresh. I mean, it can't be 24/7 golf. It's just not possible. You have to have something away from the golf course that enables you to be able to switch that button on when you need to, and know that that part of your brain is actually ready to go.
I think that's a perfect place for us to end, right where we started, talking about some of the other aspects which demand your time and which have occupied the both of you. I want to thank both Dottie and Ian for coming by. They'll both be here throughout the rest of the day at the show, and we invite you to go and enjoy and learn, and thanks for coming.